we have another pseudonym in Texas, GA. You're talking to Eric and Dennis.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello, Eric and Dennis.
What did you want to talk about?
Well, I'm going to talk about my God belief.
All right, cool. What do you believe and why?
Okay, well, I've had visions and experiences of God ever since childhood, and I wasn't raised in a religious family.
Okay. Let's take that and let's frame that and take a look at that. So you said that you've had visions. Would you agree that there are people who think that they have visions and them not actually be visions? So how do you tell the difference between them?
Well, the thing is, there's been a theme the entire time. It's not something that, it's just not just wishful thinking. It's something I'm bombarded with.
Well, I'm not saying it's wishful thinking. I'm not making a judgment call on you, not yet at least. The question that I want to determine first is, how do you tell the difference between someone who's delusional and someone who is getting visions?
I don't think I'm delusional.
Let's divorce you from it for a second.
Well, I don't know. I don't know, Eric.
Okay, cool. So here's the thing. For us to make any kind of determination about visions, we need to be able to determine whether it was a vision or it wasn't. If we can't make that determination, then we open the door to a whole bunch of really, really problematic things in the way that we think. Have you heard of confirmation bias?
Yeah, I have heard of that.
Yeah, or counting the hits and ignoring the misses. You have the Texas sharpshooter fallacy. There are so many things that we hold on to because they back up our beliefs, and we readily drop the things that don't, that we don't really recognize it. Instead, we have a list of anecdotes a mile long, and we use that to justify our beliefs, but that's not good enough, because the first thing we need to do is figure out how we can discount any, because if that's not the case, then you can have somebody who is obviously delusional and them say they have visions, and theirs is just as valid as yours. And I don't think you would agree that's the case, would you?
I'm not discounting anyone else.
Okay. I think you should.
I'll just tell my story, okay?
Well, here's the thing. I hear lots of people's stories, but if your story doesn't get us over this threshold, I don't know how helpful we can be.
Well, can I at least talk about it, and then you can decide whether it's real or not?
Sure,
Maybe I can
go ahead.
prove it later.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Like I said, I had visions about Masonic things all my life. I wasn't raised by Freemasons. I wasn't even raised in a religious family.
Okay.
And then God actually visited me in like 2003 as a redheaded, green-eyed man, small, who was wearing a black graduation cap and robe. And he told me Bernard 33 in the constellation Orion is a representation of him.
So let's take a look at that. That's a lot. So there are a lot of claims there. And there are a lot of people who want to make other people feel good and go, oh yeah, I believe your truth. I don't think you have your own truth, GA. I know it sucks, but we live in the same universe. And you're saying
that doesn't bother me
as a leprechaun?
I don't get offended by that.
Okay, cool. Either you're right or you're wrong.
Yeah,
either you're right or you're wrong. Either that happened or it happened in your head. Here's the thing. I believe you had the experience.
Was outside and in my head.
Yeah.
Well, I believe you had the experience.
It was very vivid.
Yeah, I believe you had the experience. I'm not discounting that at all, because that could be the case, but it also could have been a dream. It could have been a seizure. It could have been malnutrition. It could have been any number of things. And it could have been all of those different...
No, I wasn't on any mind-altering drugs. I wasn't on any kind of medication.
Sure. I didn't say anything about drugs or medication. You brought that in.
Well, I thought I'd go ahead and bring it up because I know you're going to ask it later.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think I can get by without that. The fact is, you haven't discounted any of that, and instead you went to the wildest response possible, which is that magic happens, right? That God came to you looking like a leprechaun, right? That there's
small redheaded green-eyed man. He's wearing a graduation cap and robe.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
and Bernard 33 in the constellation Orion represents him.
Okay, that sounds to me like pants on head nuts. So let's determine whether or not it is. So if you don't have the tools to determine whether or not it is, then why are you coming to that conclusion? Get help. Go to a doctor. And from there, and I'm not saying that. Well, GA, here's the thing. If you actually believe it.
Talk to people.
I'm not talking to people. If you're okay, hold on.
You know, I'm
Karen
not
on Facebook is not a doctor, GA. Yeah, Karen on Facebook is not a doctor. Go to professionals, because if you actually believe it, you should not have a problem getting yourself checked out. You should not have a problem testing those things.
I have gotten myself checked out, and I'm fine.
And is there anything that could possibly explain those things? If you feel comfortable talking about it, because if there is and you don't feel comfortable, we can leave it at that. But the fact that you're taking conclusions about reality.
That's what I believe. So, I mean, I guess that's all I have to say. I mean, that's what I believe.
Well,
Dennis?
That's my God belief.
We don't know. How did you identify God?
I mean, so how did you? Christians are mentally ill. I mean, so how is this different from Christianity or Islam or anything?
It's not.
It isn't.
I think they're wrong as well.
Yeah. Many Christians appear to have the belief that they can not only identify the presence of supernatural beings, but also positively identify them. And I don't know where that ability comes from.
It sounds like you're saying you have that ability.
You identified God.
Yeah.
A glib response from me would be, did you compare it to an actual God? Because how did you know it was God? Huh?
That is God.
How did you know?
That is our God.
How did you know?
Anyway, I'm very convinced.
Okay. Why should you be convinced, GA? Why? Do you think that's good enough?
Because it was very thorough.
Okay, I had a thorough experience. And I was actually visited by a diminutive redhead in a graduation cap who said that they were Thor and they were going to go and trick you. And everything that they did, everything that they did was in order to trick you. Do you believe me?
No, I mean,
Why?
I don't know. I believe in my own experience. I'll say this. I believe in my own experience. I don't want to be judgmental about other people's experiences.
Okay, that's stupid. People do terrible things. There are people who justify genocide, right? There are people who justify acting horrendously.
Well, yeah, I'm against that.
Okay, so you do care about what people believe, right?
You are
judgmental about it.
They don't. As long as they don't force it on me, that's their business.
Okay, so hold on. You care about what's true up until a point, and then after that, you can be in La La Land, and that's fine. Here's the thing, GA. I don't have a problem with you as a person, because you as a person have the ability and capability to change and grow. I'm upset because I think that what you're describing isn't justified, and I don't think you should be able to justify it that way. I think you should have higher standards for what you accept as true. And the fact that you're not doing that is upsetting to me. Because why would you do that to yourself?
I completely believe this because it was a very thorough experience.
And yet you can't determine whether or not somebody who says that and you believe it, even though you cannot determine whether or not it's true. You cannot tell the difference between someone who's just saying a thing and someone who, that belief being true, right? I asked you right at the beginning, how do you tell the difference between somebody who's delusional and somebody who had that experience? You said you can't. And so the fact that you are mollified by telling yourself that you believe it, and that's just enough, is crap. Because so let's compare that to someone from the KKK. They just believe it.
To tell you, I'm going to start a new world order because The
No.
leprechaun God told me to.
No, what I want you to do is I want you
That
to.
is actually my goal.
Well, yeah, exactly. GA, that's nuts. You need to have good reason for it. The fact is, that bad feeling in your stomach, that feeling of, oh shit, I think I'm wrong. A lot of people run from it. And especially when they're raised religiously, they're indoctrinated into thinking that they need to have the right. Hold on, GA. I'm trying to help. I really am. So you have that bad feeling, right? So when Socrates was on trial, right? When Socrates was living and whether or not you believe Socrates lived, whatever, you have Socratic questioning. Socratic questioning is that child, right? Why? It's annoying, but what it does is it causes you to lift up the furniture of your beliefs around you so that you can kind of take a look and see the roaches scatter, right? Why is our government this way? Well, it's always been this way. Well, that's not good enough. Why? Right? The goal of that is that sinking feeling in your stomach. It's called aporia. And instead of running from it, I think you should embrace it, because that is what Eureka feels like. You just learned that you have work to do. So be excited about it and go do the work.
Okay, thank you, Eric.
Dennis, anything?
No, that's fine.
Okay. GA, I hope that you call back, and I hope that you maybe can have some tools that we don't have. Maybe you can determine the difference between somebody who's delusional and somebody who actually, experienced a real thing. And if you can do that,
I've taken psychology courses. I'm not dumb. Okay. I can't.
Stop. Whoa. GA, how dare you? No. How dare you look down on people who have mental illness? And if you don't think you're doing
down on anybody,
then look back at what you said.
Where do you get that?
Because you said, I've taken psychology courses. There's nothing wrong with me. So what?
Yeah, I was talking about myself.
What is that justifying, GA?
Fingers with other people.
Yeah, it's what it's doing is it's taking the burden off of yourself by talking shit about somebody else. The fact that people have mental illness.
Talk shit about somebody else. Look, I'm going to go. Y'all have a good day.
Yeah, take care. Bye-bye.
Hi.
That's horse shit. Dennis, I'm sorry, but the fact is that piece reminds me of diet racism, right? It's that, well, stop and frisk. If they got nothing to hide, then they shouldn't have to worry about being frisked, whenever cops want. Oh, well,
get to that, but
my kid didn't get a scholarship because they're white. And, that's just not right. There are all of these implicit things that we use outside of, outside of context. And it absolutely needs to be taken in context. She was saying that she's justified in her belief because she does not have mental illness. The fact is, most of us do. And to say that you don't have that doesn't mean a damn thing to me. All it means is that you are trying to justify not exploring your own beliefs.
Yeah, I was going to bring up the idea that beliefs do have consequences.
They do. You're right.
I mean, if the leprechaun returns and tells her to do something, will she do it?
Oh, that's
no matter what that thing is.
Sure. If you think it's God, right?
That's really, really dangerous. If you believe God spoke to you and you're willing to obey that God,
yeah. The fact is, she was getting defensive, and I get it, because that was aggressive on my part.
Yeah. I mean, doubt is important. Doubt is good.
Yeah.
One thing I like to point out is if you believe that, sorry.
Thank you for calling.
No worries. That's okay. Go ahead.
If you believe that there's a supernatural, a lot of people believe in the devil, right? If you believe there's a supernatural father of lies bent on fooling you, equipped with, unknown powers of persuasion, how can you make any knowledge statements at all?
Yeah, it's
everything is suspect at that point. Every observation you've ever made in your life is suspect.
Yeah. Well, because that's just, you believe it, man.
You believe
So
it, right?
You don't get your own reality.
What? Why can't the devil present himself as God to fool you?
And honestly, why was I more aggressive with her than other people? I'll explain that very, very clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Because in my experience, people who have those kinds of views, Dennis, dude, they have been supported by people who go, okay, that's fine for you. Okay. No, you had this experience. That sounds great. You need somebody who's going to actually say, hey, maybe what I'm doing is wrong.
Get help.
Yeah. So anyway,
Out.
let's move on